Hey everyone, it's Justin the Therapist again. I am a registered psychotherapist working with individuals, couples, and families. And today I'm back to talk about the quarantine and relationships and how to be okay with your partner, spouse, at home, given all of these restrictions. So let's talk about relationships. So couples often come to me and say, Justin, help us. Our marriage is falling apart, our relationship's falling apart. We're all over the place. We're stuck at home together, stepping on each other's toes, and we're both really irritated. And it feels like our marriage shouldn't have even happened, or we're just going to get divorced. Help us, Justin. You're our only hope. And for those couples, I feel like, you know what? I don't necessarily think that your relationship was doomed from the first place and that you shouldn't have been married in the first place. I think that it's just that the world is upside down. We're experiencing a pandemic and we're forced to be at home. And this is an environment that isn't necessarily the way your relationship started out to be. So, what can be done? Here's what I think. The problem is this. Think of it this way. It's kind of like, let's say you're having a date night with your partner, and you get the finest cut of steak. And at the same time, you also make amazing roasted potatoes with, again, the best spices, and it smells so good out of the oven, and you can't wait to eat it. So you got the steak, the roasted potatoes, and you're about to eat it, but then your partner says, wait, let's put it in the blender and then eat it. So you put it in the blender, and then you take it out, and now you have this mush of steak and potatoes, and it's still hot. And are you going to tell me that if you eat that, it's going to taste just as good if you had them separate but together? Of course not. I mean, maybe if you're an infant, it'll blow your mind, but we all know that it tastes so much better if you can savor the steak separately and the potatoes separately, but together in the same meal. That's exactly what your relationship should be like. Separate, but together. It's important to be able to savor time alone or time for work and savor time with your partner separately while also being together. So I'm going to give you 3 tools to be able to spend time together and also spend time apart. This is how it should be done. The first thing is you need to be intentional with creating boundaries around space. So if you work from home, for example, it's very important that you have space just for work and space for things not for work. Space with your partner, space without your partner. Ideally, if you're working from home, you have a room or a corner that can be designated for like a home office. And when you're in this space, you're just working, and when you are in this space, you're not doing anything else. You're not engaging with your partner. You're not engaging with the family. You're not having fun. Well, hopefully you're having fun at work, but you're not engaging in entertainment, that kind of thing. But when you're outside, when you're in a different environment, different room or whatever it is, you then are not doing anything that has to do with work. You are just being intentional and engaging with your partner, engaging with your family, whatever it might be. And it's separate but together. You're savoring the time apart. You're savoring the time together. But I hear you. A lot of us don't have a bunch of extra rooms lying around for us to have a home office. Many of us live in smaller homes or even in apartments, and it can be really tough to have an entire room just for work, especially if with your partner, they also work from home. That means 2 extra office rooms. So if you can't be intentional with having a boundary for space, then at least you can be intentional having a boundary with time. So if you, for example, have to work in the living room or work in the bedroom or work in the kitchen, then make sure that there is time designated just for work and time for whatever else it might be. So if you're in the bedroom working, you have time that from this time to this time, it's just rest and relaxation time. And from this time to this time, it's work time. And make it a sacred thing. Try not to mix it. And if you do happen to need a break, take a break. But make it a very boundaried time. Not like a whole mix and blend of like work / entertainment / hanging out with my spouse or partner. Make it boundaried. Keep those boundaries so you can savor time working and time with your spouse and time relaxing. Now, even if you can't, even if you're not working from home, or even if space is not really an issue, the key to making this quarantine really successful for your relationship is being intentional with the boundaries around your energy. So that's the third thing, energy. First is space, second is time, third is energy. So it's so important to be intentional with your energy. And this applies to even when the world goes back to normal and you work outside of home. Our cups can get really empty through work or through life or stresses, or especially through the pandemic. And when couples come to me, they'll say that we are not getting enough quality time together. Often it's one partner that is complaining about that. And often they're expecting me to say, okay, well, you just need to schedule quality time. But the missing ingredient to that is that we actually need to also schedule time to refill our own cups. You need to spend time with yourself alone to recharge so that you can then savor the time with your partner. If you go to work or you spend the whole day just getting so drained, and at the end, then you give your partner the leftovers of your energy, it's not going to be that great. Also, set time aside, time, space, and especially energy to recharge yourself so that you can then give your partner a lot more. Your cup has to be full so that you can share a glass with your partner, so to speak. So how can you do it if you work 8 hours a day, you commute 3 hours a day, and at the end of the day is the only time you have with your partner? Well, you can definitely try and set time aside for yourself, maybe once a week at least. Or you can set a time for yourself, half an hour. Maybe when you come home, you need half an hour to meditate, or just to like unwind in private, in time by yourself, to just think and relax. And then say, you know what? Okay, I've had my half an hour. Now I want to engage with you. Whatever it might be, it is okay to take time for yourself to recharge before spending time with your partner. So let's recap. Make sure that you're intentional with your space, to separate space for work, space apart, and space with your partner. Be intentional creating boundaries with time for work, time alone, time with your partner and family, and with your energy. Energy for work, for yourself, and with your partner. And finally, a lot of relationships may not be safe and may not actually be healthy ones. Unfortunately, some relationships, there is abuse that happens. So if that is the case for yourself or someone you know, I want you to know that even though we are in a pandemic and a quarantine, there are still a lot of resources available. There are distress lines that you can call if you are a victim of abuse. There are shelters that are still open, and there are therapists that are available to help as well. There are so many resources available for people who are struggling with domestic abuse and violence that it wouldn't even make sense for me to recommend one in particular. So what I am going to recommend for you is actually this resource, which is 211ontario.ca. 211ontario.ca is a website that you can go to, put in your region or city, and it will provide you a list of resources available for you regarding abuse or whatever else kind of concern that you may have. So check it out if you or someone you know may be struggling with abuse. There is help available. So that's it for me for today. It was so great to be here. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to the next one. Take care.